one other thing I want to check up here. See if this is yielding anything. Great. Okay, I'm good.
Great. So I've enabled chat for the attendees and I have Q&A as well. So you'll see the Q&A box in a different window, but the attendees have the ability to chat as well.
Got it. So I'll
Uh,
open those here and have them. But my colleague, that's why I'm having other people there. I'm not going to be paying any attention to the chat. I'll be asking her for questions.
right.
Um, and here she comes. Yay. Hi, Crystal.
Hello, hello. Let me get my background.
Please meet Bobby.
Hi, Bobby.
You want to change your
Where are you, Bobby? You said you're not in East Coast. Where are you in the world?
in London, UK.
Nice. So it's 9 hours difference. So you're in the evening.
It's 4:40.
Okay. So it's only 6 hour difference. So because I'm in New York. I forgot where I was. Okay, yeah. I was just in Paris. I'm
Um,
confused on time zones myself.
what's your colleague's name? It's coming up as Nicholas twice.
Crystal, if you want to change your name to Crystal,
Oops. Let me
thank you for
rename
pointing that
here.
out. I didn't see that. You're right.
I didn't even say that. I had the wrong name.
Her name is Crystal. Crystal, I just want to try the slide screen sharing one more time with you
Sure.
here in case you see something that Bobby didn't see.
Okay.
That's
Sounds good.
okay. So let me go up to the top of this. So one thing I don't see here, let me see if I can get to see me or see you, Crystal. That would be great if I can set it so I can see the
Oh, your
window.
view?
Yeah, here you are. Great. Now I see it. Perfect.
Perfect.
Um, and he said there's a separate Q&A box that you might want to have open also. Because there's chat and there's Q&A. Am I saying that right, Bobby?
Yeah, you should see Q&A at the bottom. There should be some controls.
Okay. Yep. I'm going to open both those windows and put them over here. Okay.
Okay.
Terrific. So sharing my screen here, you should see the presentation.
Yes.
And you should tell me when you see the next slide change. How fast is that going? Does it seem quick?
You're changing them quickly. Yep.
Good. Okay, there's not a
It doesn't
stall.
seem to be a delay.
Wonderful.
Do you make sure you're sharing sound too?
I did.
Okay.
Let me confirm it again though. I'm about to test that. Yes, I am sharing sound. So then we go to the website. So I look up Saturday. And then I go to the Meet the Author recording.
Hello, my name is Oge Mora,
You
and
hear
I'm
it? I
the
don't hear
author
anything.
and
Yep.
illustrator of
It works for
Saturday.
us.
Terrific. And the one thing I didn't remember was a good book reading. Do you have a favorite book? Oh, I know what it's going to do. Chicka Chicka Boom Boom for that.
Oh, that's a great one. That's one they'll use too. And that's a perfect example of CH, which is hard to find.
Right. So remember, the mic's yours. You can unmute anytime, join in, and I'm going to be asking you if
Okay.
there's anything that I should be, aware of or remembering. Right. So that'll be great. Also, let me do one
Lovely.
thing. Let me stop sharing. I want to share again and see if that. Whoops. See, too many damn things here. Here we go. So I hit share. Go back to this.
In seconds. They'll be joining exactly on the dot. So
I'm ready.
yeah. I can start recording.
When do you want me to have my screen shared?
You can begin sharing now.
Okay.
Good.
Thank you, Bobby. I'm good to go.
So I'll begin recording and then I'll put myself in mute.
Perfect. Good day, everybody. I'm just going to wait a second, let everyone join in as we activate the space. A pleasure to join you today. Really excited for this training and conversation with you all, sharing teaching books with you. But let's wait maybe another 30 seconds or so. A lot of people are coming in quick, but really honored to be here with you all. Crystal, is the sound working? The screen sharing working well?
Sounds working wonderfully. Screen sharing looks great. And we have a whole bunch of people joining us saying good morning. So thanks again for joining us today, everyone.
Yeah, we're super excited. Again, we'll just wait a little bit. Folks are pouring in by the dozens to hundreds. So we'll wait a second here and welcome you all again to today's session on reinforcing science of reading instruction with favorite trade books. Super excited to be here with you all. Give it another few seconds, then we'll get started. Good morning. And remember, there's two tools that you have. You have the chat, and there's also a Q&A opportunity as well, I believe. Crystal and Bobby are helping with the chat. Maybe we have Melissa or others helping in. I'm not sure, but it'll be terrific to make sure you all walk out of this session with the goals that we've established for you today. My goodness, they're pouring in still, but I think it's time to start. So, hi, everybody. My name is Nick Glass. I'm really honored to be a part of this conference with you all. I'm really grateful for the Office of Library Services and Melissa Jacobs for the invitation to be here with you. My colleague Crystal Ballard is here on the chat as well. She's one of Teaching Books Implementation and Training Specialist and one of the creators of a lot of the science of reading and early literacy instructional materials that we're creating. Really grateful for the partnership with New York City Schools and the opportunity to be here. And thanks to all the many people that helped put this conference together. This is a huge ask, a huge responsibility, and many thanks to the folks at the journal as well as elsewhere, and of course at the New York City Public Schools for this opportunity. So let me get into this a little bit. Today's big picture goals are on the screen. What we want to have happen today is for you to get these things out of this. Really want you to learn about teaching books. We want to make sure you see some specific ways to use favorite picture books and favorite books to support phonological instruction. We want you to learn how to share and use these materials that you're going to see so you can walk out of here with ideas and specific materials, and to know that we're here to support you. All of this work is coming from a product and organization that I started and run called Teaching Books. Teaching Books is a licensed instructional resource provided to everybody in New York City schools, all students, teachers, staff, families, and it's licensed by the Office of Library Services. We're really grateful for that partnership. We've been doing this for many years, and the relationship has never been stronger, and the resources have never been better to support you. So we're really excited to be sharing that. But everything we're talking about today is fully provided for you by the New York City Public Schools Office of Library Services, and you can access it using the sign-in that's there. All you do is go to that link, or if you know Clever, if you come in through Clever, you can do that as well. So whatever works for you. Today's agenda specifically is to accomplish what you see here. We're really going to focus on a lot of the early childhood collections here, beginning readers, concept books, and really focus on the phonics and phonological awareness components. Make sure you really understand the lessons, the sharing resources, and all of that. So that's what we're going to accomplish today. Any questions before we jump in, Crystal, or should we jump on in?
Let's dive in. Everybody's just saying good morning and happy to be here.
Yeah, the numbers just people are still signing in by the tens. It's extraordinary to see the folks joining. So thank you again. So again, welcome. I'm Nick Glass. We're just getting started on trying to reinforce. We're going to start by showing you what teachingbooks.net is. And again, the access to Teaching Books is teachingbooks.net/NYC. You sign in, fill out a profile, or if you use Clever, that will put you directly in as well. Super easy for you. And what we're going to do is show you a lot of resources around that. So what Teaching Books is a live, actually, let me go to this here. I skipped one important part here. Teaching Books is a library of instructional materials. The vision behind it was that what would happen if every single reader, the moment they're reading a book, could have insights directly about the book? Like, let's say, meeting the author. Here's Denise Fleming showing how she does her pulp painting and how she creates those amazing picture books. What would happen if the World Wide Web could be this equalizer? So I was working on my dissertation in Madison, Wisconsin, in educational policy, and started seeing the power of the relationships that readers can have with authors and with books using technologies. So Teaching Books was created as a library of instructional materials about the very books that you're using. So what the New York City Office of Library Services has provided for you is instructional materials and personal connections to the very books that you're already using. So we want you to see how that works, how you have that connection and relationship. So today we're going to start by showing you a little bit about Teaching Books, then honing in on the early childhood and science of reading elements. One other thing that's really important to understand is that Teaching Books is resources about books. This is not the book itself. This is uplift material. Our goal is that every single one of you, and you could be you, a teacher, you, your students, you, your families, you, your colleagues, everybody in your community gets uplifted with a new relationship to the text that you're using through the resources here. So to see Brian Collier, I'll even play you a little bit of a video of Brian Collier taking a magazine he bought on the streets of New York City and converting that into a book that won the Coretta Scott King Book Award for Best Illustrated Title. So what we're going to show you is these connections that you can have for whatever book you're using. We're resources about the book. The other thing you can do is you can we are tied now to Sora. There's a fabulous digital library that, again, the Office of Library Services has provided for everybody called the Citywide Digital Library on Sora. And there's some details here on the screen for you. But what this is the digital book. And from the Sora digital library, from the Citywide Digital Library, you're able to go directly from there into Teaching Books also. So there's another route directly from the Sora digital library. You scroll down a little bit, it'll have a big button there, it'll say Teaching Books, and you're automatically going to be accessing it that way as well. So there's many ways to go, but I wanted you also to know that that's the book, and more connections are happening between Teaching Books and Sora. We're Teaching Books joined Overdrive, the same company that runs Sora, and what we're trying to do is make sure everybody has those fabulous connections. So again, what we're doing is this. Now let me dive into Teaching Books. Teaching Books is a library of resources about what books you're using. So if you were using, let's say, Where the Mountain Meets the Moon, you search for a title, and you can look by a lot of different ways. You search for a title, and then you're going to get all these different kinds of materials. You'll see here there's 67 total resources. There's all kinds of things to here. Recording with the author and audio performance. I'm going to show you a lot of these examples coming up. I want you to see kind of what happens when you do a search. There's 8 lesson plans, 2 book trailers, 5 readings, a vocabulary list. There's a word search game. There's a jigsaw puzzle. So not everything is about rigor. We're trying to reach every reader. And when you think about every reader, when you think about what inclusion means. For me, that means what are your interests? What are your needs? Everybody has different needs at different times. So maybe somebody just wants to do a jigsaw puzzle. Maybe that's the connection that they can do for a book. But what we have here is the capability for everybody to build relationships to those specific titles. So I can go and I can say, let's look up Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. So I could start with a book like Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. And I can say, I want to introduce that book with Ray Charles reading a little bit of it. So I can go to the audio excerpt of that, and then you're going to have an audio excerpt. Can you hear it? Is it sound playing?
C. I'll meet you at the top of the coconut tree. We, said D to EFG. I'll
And
meet
for
you at the
these,
top of the coconut.
you not only can hear it, but you also can see as a read along. So we're reinforcing reading, but you also can translate that. So if you know that you can make it into a dyslexic font, you can turn it into dark mode. You can change the size of it so it can be easier to read. And if you have students that speak different languages, or you want to send this home, let's say we translate this to 109 different languages. So if you need this in Vietnamese, let's say, while playing it, then I can do that.
Coconut tree. Chicka chicka boom boom. Will there be enough room? Here comes H up the coconut tree. And I
We
and
want
J
to build
and tag along.
relationships to every reader with whatever book they're using. So teaching books, you can search for a title. You can look up Dreamers, wonderful book by Gigi Morales, and you can have connections with that. Again, you have the different kinds of discussion questions. Maybe you want to introduce that book with a video book trailer.
In 1994, 25-year-old Judy Morales traveled from her home in Jalapa, Mexico, to the San Francisco Bay Area with her 2-month-old son, Kelly, in order to secure permanent residency in this country. Her passage was not easy.
So how can
and she
we
spoke no
engage our
English.
students? Teaching Books is here to take, you look up whatever book you're reading. Let's say you're using a wonderful book like Alma, How She Got Her Name, and you want some instructional materials to support that. You look up a book and you're going to get all different kinds of things. So I could go there and I could then say, let's look at the different types of lessons. We'll get to the phonics and phonological awareness in about 2 minutes, but I'm just trying to give you a sense of the kinds of things that are here. Name tags, discussion questions, all kinds of things. And one that I wanted to point out here is a wonderful activity kit that's got all kinds of pre-made, ready-to-use materials for this particular title. So you're going to have these sheets ready for you to go to uplift and enhance your relationship. You can share these with students, with families, with everybody. Everything here is meant to be shared. So you can, again, look up whatever book you're teaching and using. That's a great way to use teaching books. You know you're using a book where you can go to this and you can bring that to life. Maybe you want to, you're teaching math and you're using Stuart Murphy's Math Start books. So I can type in Stuart Murphy and I can go there and I can introduce to myself and to my teachers or to the families what you're trying to do with this. So we made a movie with the author. So you can have him there explaining and sharing what this premise is all about. I'll play about 30 seconds of this for you as well.
One of the things that's really important to me is helping our kids become more fluent in the language of mathematics. Children
You can
are
translate
visual
the
learners,
captions
and
here.
I really want to make sure that kids understand that math is
Let me pause for a second. Do you see the captions are there right now? I can go to the top of the screen and I can translate that to a different language. So if I need that in Arabic to support my students, I go and now I continue.
into their lives. I spend a lot of my life in classrooms talking to real kids. We talk about what they're having for lunch, we talk about what their favorite things are, and all of those kinds of things that kids really care about, and then I find ways to build them into my stories. And that's what Math Start is. It's pictures, words, and math. Pictures, words, and math coming together to tell a story.
So you get
This
these
is
little
my outline
chapters,
for a
so you can
story.
see how the books are made. You get to meet the author. You also can see, for example, Brian Collier, who created a lot of books by buying magazines on the streets of New York. He goes and buys a magazine, cuts it up, mails a collage, and you can see how those books are created. You can share that when you're using his books, and you can then share that and let everybody have this connection to the author and how they're creating these books.
In Harlem, I've painted 13 murals with kids. Art is part of how to empower someone. It allowed the children to dictate what their environment looked like. Painting and creativity is about living. It's not about the skill or the hand-eye coordination or the balance of color and composition. It's your life. It's your temperament on how you judge and see the world and act in the world. And that comes through in the art. Collage and what it means to me and in my life is I can look at objects, pictures, images, and see
So
something
here
else.
he cuts up his books, he cuts up the magazines and turns them into the covers of all of these amazing titles. So when you look at his books and if you're teaching any of these books, you can realize that these were all made from magazines, including magazines that he buys on the streets of Manhattan and the Bronx and elsewhere in the city. And so that's really an amazing component to help you understand and build those relationships. One final thing before I get into the specifics of the early childhood elements here is I want you to see another way we personalize resources. Maybe you guys are familiar with the Stinky Cheese Man, for example. And so there's an author who wrote that. And as part of our explanation to how to humanize reading, we created something called the author name pronunciation guide. And so we want to help you learn how to say the person's name. Let's honor each book by seeing who the author is, by getting to know them a little bit.
Hello, my name is John Sheska, and it's often pronounced many different ways that aren't even close to that. The people who know how to pronounce it best actually are Polish, because it is a Polish word. In Polish, it actually means path, like a path through the woods. And I have heard people mispronounce it in many wonderful ways, like Skieska, Shizyka, Skazuka, or I love when people just freeze up and don't know what to say at all. But it is Sheska.
And there you have
it. Pretty much rhymes with
So
Fresca.
What we have here is this library of resources about whatever book. This is the resources to uplift the text. You look up a book, you go to the search box, and you enter in a title. That's a great way to use this. Another way to use this is to explore the educators area. There's many facets. We're not going to cover a lot in this particular session. We can't cover it all, but we want to show you a few things. When you go to the For Educators tab, you'll see a whole area of literacy and standards connections. Within that, the standards connections, just to give you another quick sense of what this is about, is literacy belongs in every single content area. There isn't an area in school where literacy doesn't really belong. We want to help you see the professional connections to that. So what we did is we went to every association for each of these subject content areas. So for, let's say you're focusing on SEL, well, we asked CASEL, what are those literacy standards? And you have a jumping off point where they give you the standard and we give you examples on how to use that. If you were trying to do early childhood, you'd get it from NACCE. If you're looking at libraries, you'd get that from the AASL, the American Association of School Librarians. So you have here the standards connections. But the area that we're focusing on today is to help you understand the ways that you can increase your connections to science of reading with resources about children's and young adult texts. So what you have here, first off, are collections of titles that are meant for you to connect to the books themselves. So there are different kinds of connections. Maybe you wanted to focus on beginning readers. You want to see all the different beginning readers. There's 3,369 beginning readers, but you know that you really wanted these specifically about the Asian American experience. So I can click that, and now you have 89 beginning readers that are focused on the Asian American cultural experience within the text itself. Then you can say, oh gosh, I love Ling and Tang, or I love Yasmin, or whatever it is you wish to focus on. So you can go to your collections, go to beginning readers, you can go to concept books, and we've classified our 1,400 concept books that into now broken up by different types of concept books. Did you want alphabet, color, number, season, shape? So for the first time that I know how you can easily find, you're teaching seasons, you go there and now you have the 50 concept books about seasons. And so now I can take that and I can then say I now want to sort that. I want ones that have video book trailers. I love introducing books with video book trailers. So then I can click on Scarecrow and I know that there is a video book trailer that I can then play to uplift and change the relationship as I introduce this fabulous Fan Brothers.
No one enters.
Right?
No one dares.
So what you have is a way to go from your needs. So again, what I did, going back a little bit here, is I went to For Educators. I go into literacy standards connections, and then I type in early childhood. You also can go to the search box and just type in early childhood. There are many ways to access and access these components. But when I go here now, I'm going to be on the early childhood page. Now, the other thing, and this is the real key of what we're talking about here, is a lot of you are asked now to really focus about how do you teach and reinforce and support the instruction of reading for your children. And science of reading is one element of that. It's a very important, broad area, but it's also very specific. So what we want to help you do, one thing that we've noticed that was happening is a lot of people are buying or adopting various reading programs. So you have a high quality instructional materials program on phonics. Maybe you're using Supersonic Phonics on Sora, which maybe you're using, you purchase one that you have for your classroom or your school. Great. But what we want to make sure you also have is the ability to bring in fabulous, wonderful picture books into that discussion. And what needed to be done, and what my colleague Crystal, who's here with me, help do, is to help classify each wonderful picture book by these specific phonemic elements. So I can say, I'm looking for books that are long E. I want long E books. So then I click that, and these are the books that you will recognize. You have these books. You certainly probably know a lot of these books, but you might not have known that they can support your study of long E. So then what you can do here is you can identify all these different types of titles around this. You can say, I'm gathering a take-home kit, or I'm doing a book bin on each different sound, or I'm doing a display, whatever it is. So you can go here to each particular element, and you can say, I want books for FL, and then you're going to have them there. And again, you didn't know that you could do that so quickly and efficiently. And there's very clear set guidance and rules on the classifications. So every one of these titles is very carefully and professionally chosen, not for any reason other than we want you to have the best way to reinforce and support your work around this with books that have knowledge, that have familiar sounds, familiar formats, all of these wonderful components. So again, what you can do is you can search. Another way you can do is you can search. Let's say you're studying animals. So you're doing you're in your classroom, you're doing a study of animals, but you're also teaching and reinforcing phonemic awareness. So I can do a search for animals, and then you see here on the left side where I was previously filtering by other things. Let me make that a little larger for you. Sorry. There we go. So I can go here on the left side, and you know, before I was going under concept books, or I was going under find me all the titles that have video book trailers. There's a whole category here called phonics and phonological awareness. So I have 14,000 titles for animals. And I can then go to grade levels, and I say I'm in grade 3 to 4. So now we're down to 5,000 of those titles. And then I can say I want any of these that are also associated with CL. And so now I've got those CL titles for me, right? And so I can hone in, and then I can bring up Click, Clack, Moo. So you can hone in on a search for a topic that you're using, or an author, or a book, and then you can find that. When you're on a particular title page, it will tell you here that this book is classified under CK, CL, vowels, short A, short I, and so forth. So then I can click on that. I can go then to the short A, and I can have other short A's as well if I wanted that. When you're on a particular title, once you select a title, we also have activities for you to do to reinforce and help your students practice the instruction around these very specific instructional needs. So if I click, I want my hat back, because of course I want to click on I want my hat back. I love this book. And so then I can go here and I can click to either original resources, and you'll see the printable for short A, or I can go down to the book guides, activities, and lessons. And I can go there. Then I'm going to go now to the short A printables. And now you immediately have 4 printable activities. They're ready for you to print. One is a dot, stamp, and write. One is a read and change. One is a read and fill in, and the other is a read, trace, write. And you can download them all in one click, one swoop, and have all of those waiting for you. So when you're building those book bins, when you're building those take-home kits, when you're designing your list that you want to have around each book, you can then provide these instructional handouts as well. So again, to take you through that one more time, because this is what we really wanted you to see, is that the Office of Library Services, in giving you access to teachingbooks.net, which has all these resources about a lot of areas. Like I said, the way to start is just look up a book and find things. But specifically, we wanted to show you today that the early childhood components, and you can go to Browse, and I can go to the different ways we've classified our collections, and I can pick books by grade bands, by curricular areas, by cultural experiences within the text, by genres, but I also can filter by phonics and phonological awareness. And I can say, I want more books on R-controlled, because we all are thinking about our R-controlled books, I'm sure. I had to re-ask my colleagues what R-controlled was, because I'm not an early childhood classroom instructional teacher. I'm an educational policy and children's literature expert, but this is not my expertise. So I had to relearn what R-controlled was. But these are 153 books for all of you that live for your R-controlled books. And you know these books. Watercress won the Caldecott. Click, Clack, Moo was created in Brooklyn, right? All these fabulous connections to these books. Green Eggs and Ham. So again, you not only have the printouts, you can go back again to the audio excerpt. Remember the things I showed you earlier. You can introduce the book.
I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam,
You can translate the book. I can change the font to be a dyslexic font if I want. So I go back to that, and I go back to the green eggs and ham title that we were just on. And then I reload it, I guess. And now it's in a dyslexic font for you. You can translate it.
I am Sam. I am Sam. Sam.
And then when you go back to the text, if you want to see what phonetical elements this is supporting, you go to show more details. It's showing you a short A, long I, R controlled. So I go here to my R controlled, or I can go right to the printable activities that are under book guides. And I now have my R controlled printables. And now the printable did not change its to dyslexic font. I just want to make sure you see that as well, that the website changed, but the printables are already in a font that we clearly defined, meant for accessibility purposes. But I wanted you to see that's one way to access that. So I also want to point out to you that when we're thinking about science of reading, while we're here to support the phonics part of it and to give you wonderful picture books, another element of science of reading comes into the auditory component. What do books sound like? How do they, what is the pronunciations? What are the ways to describe? What is the pace and the rhythm? What are we comprehending from sound? That's a huge part of the whole gambit of science of reading. So again, when you look up a book, I'm using, what's a book I want to look up? I don't know, Watercress. So I can go to this particular title, and then you're going to have here ways to hear the author read it. You have a video book trailer. I wanted a book that had an audio performance. So I could even go here and I can go to browse. I'll browse and I'll find books that have what we call read-along audiobook performances. So here they can read along a few minutes of thousands of titles, of 20,000 titles. I can filter this down to grades 1 to 2. I can pick the book I want. I want Each Kindness, marvelous Brooklyn author Jackie Woodson. I can now go here to the audio performance. I can listen to it.
Her shoes were spring shoes, not meant for the snow.
With your
A strap on one of them had broken.
For your reading instruction. So, Crystal, any questions that you want to point out? I'm sure you've been typing away.
Yes, I have. Real quick, Nick, can you go back to the slide that shows the link for access? Because we did have somebody ask how to access Teaching Books.
Absolutely. So the link for access here is you go to teachingbooks.net/NYC. If you guys are using Clever, it's in your city Clever. You can go to teachingbooks.net on its own and sign in with your New York City email address. Your schools.gov email always will work and connect you as well. And you can access it directly through your Sora. So there are many points of access for you. But as a teacher, it's better for you to fill out a profile and have your own account. Students sign in anonymously. And you can access a lot of stuff that way. But if you want to share, which I'm going to get to in a moment, and be able to build lists, there's so many values here that Teaching Books has for so many things, that if you're signed in as an educator, it's better. So if you can come in and create an account that way, it's all part of the license. Again, everything is paid for and provided to everybody through a license funded by the New York City Public Schools Office of Library Services. Did that answer that, Crystal?
Absolutely. And one more question that a couple people asked, which I thought was great. Can you show them how to find resources in other languages?
Absolutely. So Teaching Books knows that there's many needs on languages. I'm going to actually just, the way you change the font is go to customize your display. I'm going to remove the dyslexic font just for my own sake, but I wanted to make sure you all saw that was there. It's really important that your school's system know that that's there. So for multiple languages, there's a lot of things a lot of ways to do that. The most powerful way to do that is if you go into something that's called our advanced search. This is where you're going to have, and you can access that in so many ways. Every search page has its access. You type in advanced search, you can find advanced search in any way. So if you wanted a book in multiple languages, you can do it that way there by searching through the language of the text themselves. But again, we don't have the books. We're trying to just show you that these books exist within those languages. But more so, I wanted to show you under the resources. So if I wanted you to have resources in multiple languages, we have that too. So let's take, for example, ASL. ASL is a language. If I did just ASL here, it would be a silent video of resources, a video of the book or of a part of the book in ASL. But maybe I want to have ASL and Spanish. So I click that, and then I can go to Snowy Day, for example. And then I can go here to the book readings. And I'll see here that there is here it is, complete reading in American Sign Language and Spanish. So I click that, and then I hit play. I'm just going to jump into it.
Cric, crac, cric. Sus pies se hundieron en la nieve. Anduvo con la punta de los pies.
Language needs are about inclusion. And to me. And so again, you go back to the advanced search and you have so many options here. You can say, I just want resources in Cantonese, in Czech, in Korean English. Okay, what do you got? Like, we're going to have something for every one of these options here. How many of these languages do I know? Very few. I know none of them, but I know of. I haven't even heard of many of these languages. Here's a trilingual of these 3 languages, and that's outside of my knowledge base. I don't even feel confident pronouncing them. But that's okay, because there's students that need them and you do know them. So what matters is that we can provide these connections for you. So the advanced search is incredibly powerful. Similarly, if I was on a title, so let's say I'm on Dreamers. Right? So I go to this book here by Yuji Morales, and I'm on that. If there is an edition that we know of that's in another language, we'll actually connect you to that on the title page as well. So it says related languages, Spanish language, then you go there. So if I was on, again, Click Clack Moo, I think I saw that there for Chicka Chicka Boom Boom. Our job is to help you know, but again, we're not the book, we're resources. So that's why I wanted to show you resources in multiple languages. The other thing we've done is we've created many materials in Spanish and French. And so what we have here is if I go to our world language collection, you'll see here movies we made in Spanish and in French. Barbara Reed showing how she does her books with plasticine. Unbelievably cool. Marie-Louise Gay in Quebec. Francisco Jimenez about growing under the wire as a child. You might know the circuit. We have readings in Spanish. We have book guides in Spanish. All of this here. And this is under a page that's called World Languages. And you can just type in world languages to access that. Did that answer that question, Crystal? Anything else you'd like to ask? That's coming up in the chat. Great.
I think we're good.
So let's take a look at our goals here today, what we're trying to go through our agenda. So we already showed you that there are these different collections in early childhood. I'm going to show you that again in a second. We're showing you that there's specific phonics and phonological awareness components, that you can identify text by each specific element that you need. And I want to again reinforce for you ways you can use that. And we also showed you lessons. The next thing I'm going to get to is sharing, but I'm going to quickly review everything we've learned before I get to sharing resources and others. And we still are on schedule and have time for questions. So we're doing just fine in our timing here. So again, to access the early childhood resources, you can do a number of things. You can browse by something. You say, I'm teaching New York. So you go to a topic, a subject area, and you hit enter. You're going to get all these different book results. And of that, I can then, these 1,400 titles, I can then go through here and I can identify which titles have different sounds, or I can filter them by different cultural experiences or by resource types and so forth. So the filtering is there for you. You also can go through browse, and you can browse all collections. And you can then hone in on grades or cultural experiences or resources. You can see the whole way everything's organized here. And you scroll down and you'll see all of the phonics and phonological awareness. So I can say I'm focused right now on rhyming. We're looking for rhyming books. Absolutely. We're here to help you with that. So I would go here to rhyming, and we've identified 367 early childhood books that would be wonderful for you to use for reinforcing rhyming. So I can pick Black as, and I can say I want to have also an audio performance with that. So I want what we call a read-along audio performance. So then I can have these. I can pick Black as a rainbow color, and then I can play that recording here. And those are videos of it being read. But you can then have that as well, and now you have the author there reading a little bit of the book for
Hello,
you.
scholars. My
So we
name
want
is
to
Angela
reinforce
Joy, and I'm
that
here
you
to
have all
share
these
with
different
you my new
connections
book,
to bring the books to
Black
life,
is a Rainbow Color.
right? So again, you search. You also can go under for educators, and under for educators, you have literacy standards and then early childhood. And within early childhood, you have these abilities here to actually identify the titles, or you can go directly to all the printables. So if you wanted the different printables for each of the different sounds, they're all there for you as well. So the early childhood page has that all set for you. We also have their connections to NACCE, to the National Association of Early Childhood, of National Association of Education for Young Children. And these are the standards that they suggest. And then we have resources to support that. And we have a whole nother area to help you think about teaching ideas for young early childhood instructional support for alliteration, syllables, and rhyme. So all of this is all part of the early childhood page. So the way you find that again is you can just type in early childhood. There are many ways to access this. And then you're on the page that has all of those elements that we just discussed. Now, what I want to show you next is how to share a resource. This is really key. So every single thing here is not for you or for me or for one student. It's for anybody that you feel needs to have it. So maybe you're using Google Classroom, maybe you're using Schoology, maybe you want just a printable of something. Whatever it is you want, we want to make sure that you can immediately share it with a student, with a teacher, with a family. You can take any single material. So if I go back to, let's say I go to Crown. One of my favorite books here is Crown, an Ode to the Fresh Cut. And maybe you wanted here to share a video book trailer. Or maybe you wanted to share a reader's theater script. You wanted to perform this book as a reader's theater activity in your classroom where you have this great script and you want everybody to be able to perform the book to help support comprehension. So I can go here to that particular resource. I hit share, and then I can embed that, email that, print that, give a bookmark to it, whatever I want to do with it. So everything can be immediately shared and nobody needs to have access directions. The links will automatically authenticate into that. Here's a bookmark, for example, that has the QR code to exactly what it is. I can change that to 109 languages because I want to send that to the 2 families I have in my community that speak Bengali, and now they can connect to the families in ways you never could. We want to keep breaking down every barrier we can so that you can best connect to and enrich the relationship with the text. If I wanted to share a resource that talks, let's say this video book trailer. So let me play a second of this, just so you know what I'm talking about.
Crown, an Ode to the Fresh Cut, written by Derek Barnes and illustrated by Gordon C. James.
So I want to share this video.
Cool, clean, fly.
So I can go to this, and you see it says share here. There's a share arrow. It says share this page. When I click that, there's an arrow on every single page on Teaching Books. Every resource is designed to be shared. I can embed that into a learning management system. I can do the bookmark. I can email it. I can put it right into my Google Classroom. I can hit Shelf Talker. And a shelf talker, you know those little cards you can put in your classroom or your library to get everyone connected to that? Well, here it says, do you want to watch a book trailer? And it has the book cover image, it has the title and a QR code. It will take everyone directly there. And again, I can translate that to 109 different languages. So that if I need that in Japanese, then here it is in Japanese for the student that needs that. So all of this is there. So all of these sharing tools are part and parcel of your Teaching Books license. And there are a lot of ways to learn and remember all these things we're showing you. So under the help section of Teaching Books, there's an area here called video tutorials. And within that, it will show you all kinds of things, including how to share a resource, among many other facets here. So there's all kinds of, there's a video in Spanish, there's all kinds of training pieces, but I wanted you to know that there's also videos and help support for everything that we're showing you today. And so all of this is here for you as well. So Teaching Books is a library of, and I'm going to wrap up and have a few minutes for questions. Teaching Books is a library of resources about the books that you're using. The most important thing I want you to remember is that you can go there and just search for any single title. So if anyone's using, someone type in a title you're using. I'm just looking at the chat right now. If someone gives me a title, I'll search for it. So whatever book you're using, you can search and then find instructional materials for that. Thank you. That's great. Stop. It's going too fast. I can't see them all. Hidden Figures is what I just see at the end there right now. So I'll go to Hidden Figures. So then I can go to Hidden Figures. It's going to even ask me which version do I want. So I can go here to, I'll pick one of them, but you'll see here it's going to show there's other editions. So it's going to show me here another edition for that, which is the young readers. There's a picture book version as well. So you look up whatever book, and then you're going to have the author there talking about why they wrote the book, because every day we're calling and adding new materials. We add video book readings, the name pronunciations. You can hone in and get what you want, and then you can have the games, and then you can share. You can share a resource, you can share a title, you can share a list. So you guys are great at entering titles. At every single one of these, we have lots of material. So you look up Long Way Down, you're going to have, we've interviewed Jason Reynolds, Louis Sachar. I assume someone wrote Fish in a Tree, so we have that. We've interviewed all these people. Debbie Levy, we've interviewed. So we have all of these different kinds of materials for you for pretty much every book you're using. Now, the other thing I want you to remember is how to access the phonological awareness connections, the science of reading pieces. And that's under for educators, literacy standards, early childhood. And within the early childhood area, you're going to have it all laid out for you as best as we can with the different collections, concept books, phonics, our printables, our standard support, our teaching ideas. The other thing that's really, really important is that we're available here to support you. You can contact us. We have a phone number. Let me restate that. We have a phone number. Gets to a machine first, but then when you press 2, you'll get a human being. You can send us any comments, a title we don't have, maybe something's not classified as you wish. We are accountable to work with you and do our very best so that you get the most out of this. That is why the Office of Library Services is licensed with us. We're here to support you. So that means there's never a fee. You're never going to be asked, I'm sorry, that's an extra fee. All of this is fully covered for you by your license from the Office of Library Services. So again, Teaching Books is here to support and enrich what you're doing. So let's confirm that we've covered what we said we wanted to do, that hopefully you see that this can add a great level of joy and connection to books. Hopefully you see that you can map and identify and build your displays and reinforce your instruction with specific wonderful titles that you already have that amplify what you're doing in your science of reading and phonics instruction, but also bringing in wonderful picture books. We have resources for pretty much every book that you're teaching. And if you have any questions, we're here to support you. So we still have a few minutes, but that's kind of what I wanted to end on. So Crystal, is there anything that you want to make sure we address that's come up? Or anything that we missed that you want to add? Because you know so
think
much.
we answered most of the questions. We had a couple people asking about titles being added and resources being added for titles. And my response is that we have a professional team of librarians who are adding resources every day. If you ever want a specific resource added, like you see something maybe in a different language, you always can request that under our help tab. But we are adding every day, and Nick just is showing you how many resources have been added in the last 30 days.
In the last 30 days, and if you want to see the 2024 title, so right now we have about 3,000 books a year that come out in children's books that meet our collection. This is a library, so every book has to meet our collection development policy. But so there's been 1,500 2024 titles added here. So you look at, who is Taylor Swift? Of course, we have to have materials on that one. But we also have materials for, all of these books. And again, you'll be able to access Teaching Books directly through the link or through Sora and many other ways as well. Crystal, I can't imagine how tired your hands are. Thank you for chatting.
All good. I had a couple people ask about the recording to this. I'm assuming it's going to be sent through the hub that this conference was set up with.
I assume so. Bobby or Melissa can maybe answer that. But yeah, I'm quite sure you're going to get a recording of this through your setup. It is being recorded.
Yes.
Anything else that we can answer for you? Again, the access is there. My email is there. This is a resource that has been renewed for next year. You have this. We're here for you. We care about you. We thank you. We appreciate you.
Thank
what
you
I
so
got.
much for joining us.
Appreciate it. Thanks, Crystal. Thanks, everybody. Be well.